80% of the league are free agents. Like, everyone timed their contract. Everybody signed one-year deals, and everyone timed their contracts to coincide with this new CBA. So literally, there's not even really any team. There's only like 20% of the league.
Please, ladies and gentlemen, pause whatever you're doing and pay attention to the utter craziness of what was just verified on national television. For weeks, we have been reporting on this WNBA collective negotiation catastrophe. We have discussed the infighting, envy, and selfishness, but ESPN's Ramona Shelburne recently revealed the actual degree of confusion behind the scenes with a nuclear explosion on the Rich Eisen show. This is no longer only a labor conflict. There are hostages involved. Currently, 80% of WNBA players are unemployed. That sounds too unbelievable to be real, so let me say it again. Currently, 80% of WNBA professional basketball players are unattached to a team.
This was organized by them.
In order to put pressure on the owner, they planned a mass contract expiration, which resulted in a situation where the league is literally short on contracted players to host a basketball game. The sport is being driven to the verge of extinction by this created crisis. Wait until you hear the logistical mess that the WNBPA has purposefully caused if you thought that their posting of Valentine's Day poems was embarrassing. Ramona Shelburne revealed everything. Last season, the Players' Union advised its players to sign one-year contracts. They advised them to place their own wager. They informed them, "We will all cash out at the same moment when the Caitlin Clark funds arrive." However, the issue with playing a financial chicken game, someone has to veer eventually, and no one is veering at the moment. In Portland and Toronto, we have two brand new expansion teams. How many players are on their rosters, do you know? Nothing. The lack of a collective bargaining agreement prevents them from holding an expansion draft, which would have been a celebration of the development of women's basketball. Players cannot be drafted into an unexistent financial structure. Free agents cannot be signed if the salary cap is entirely unclear. A union that is vying for an enormous payout has frozen the WNBA's entire infrastructure. This leads us to the most embarrassing aspect of the interview. According to Ramona Shelburne, the WNBA just made public their regular season schedule. You may have thought, oh great, when you saw that timetable slip. The season is undoubtedly upon us. Look, on April 25th, the Liberty will play the Fever. Don't be duped. There was no indication of progress with that.
We're getting close here, Rich. I mean, I thought it was interesting the league put out a schedule, because one of the pressure points I'd been hearing was literally arena dates. You know how this goes. Like, if you don't have your dates on the schedule, they give them away to some concert. They give them away to some circus that comes to town, or they give them away to anybody else who wants to use the arena. Arenas cannot have open dates. And if you want those open dates, you gotta lock those in. So the league went forward with the idea of let's do the schedule, even though we don't even know who's on what team. And I thought that was a blink.
Have you heard that? To keep the circus from booking their arenas, the WNBA had to issue a fictitious schedule for teams without rosters yet. This isn't anything I made up. The premier women's basketball league in the world, the league in which monster truck rallies and traveling clown acts are fiercely competing with Caitlin Clark, A.A. Wilson, and Sabrina for arena availability. Additionally, the owners had to hastily publish a schedule in order to keep the lights on in their own buildings, since the Players' Union is taking too long to comply with Breanna Stewart and Nika Aguim's demand for 30% of the gross revenue from a league that has been losing money for 30 years. It's amateur hour. On steroids. The union desires the same treatment as the NBA. NBA venues don't bump LeBron James for the Ringling Brothers, even though they demand the private jets and the biggest paychecks. This is the result of having more ambition than you can handle. While running a company that is still battling for scraps, the players are asking recognition worth billions of dollars. And that leads us to the room's elephant. The one thing in all of this that truly counts. Veteran commentator Rich Eisen, who has witnessed every labor issue in modern sports history, broke through the clutter and highlighted the sole reason this league is currently receiving attention.
I don't mean to be flippant, but again, there's a golden goose that's getting more valuable here. And, and stars, I mean, Juju Watkins is going to be healthy. Like, this is rubber meeting the road here.
Rich Eisen, Caitlin Clark, and the Golden Goose all expressed it flawlessly. He is aware that by using their biggest asset to date, the union is engaging in extremely risky behavior. The WNBA players are deliberately attempting to stifle the Golden Goose, which is becoming increasingly valued. Are you aware of how shaky this momentum is? Millions of new people watched this sport thanks to Caitlin Clark. Although she delivered sellout crowds and a huge television deal, those fans are not devoted to the WNBA. They have the players' loyalty. Fans will depart if the WNBPA imposes a lockout and Caitlin Clark isn't hitting logo threes on TV by May. They're going to the NBA playoffs to watch. They're going outside. They'll find another activity to engage in. And it takes a miracle to win back the casual American sports fan once they're gone. The union leadership's entitlement is astounding. They sincerely think the audience will be waiting for them. They believe that the fans will wait patiently by the TV till they have resolved their boardroom disputes if the season is postponed to battle over income sharing. That isn't how the entertainment industry operates. There is a very narrow window of cultural relevance. The WNBA is really popular right now. However, the product becomes cold if the factory is shut down. Nevertheless, there are seasoned players who have played in the league for 10 years who have never drawn a penny of profit by claiming to be the ones that expanded the game and informing the media so. They are utilizing their 80% free agency stunt to keep Caitlin Clark's second season hostage because they are so consumed by greed and jealousy. Since time is passing more quickly than anyone cares to acknowledge, let's examine the timeline. According to Ramona Shelburne, now is not the pressure point. March is the pressure point. Right now, March is looming large above us. The league has just a few weeks to decide on a salary cap, hold an expansion draft for 2 whole cities, negotiate contracts for 80% of the league's players, hold the collegiate draft, and start training camps. Months of front a couple weeks filled with office job. At this stage, it is physically impossible to accomplish this smoothly. The mayhem that will break out in free agency, even if they sign a contract tomorrow, will be unprecedented. It is going to be the same day that 100 players compete for roster places. General managers will be rushing to establish a rapport with players they met just 24 hours before to training camp. The union intended to play hardball in February, which will hurt the product that is on the floor in May. Furthermore, who is in charge of this clown show? Ramona notes that Nafi Kali, Brianna Stewart, and Nneka Aguam are in charge of navigating the ship. These are well-known, affluent celebrities. They have money from abroad. They have endorsement agreements. Their income is supplemented by the league, which is unmatched. They have the financial means to skip a payday. They have enough money to wait a month. What about the rookie, who is attempting to join the team? What about the bubble player, whose WNBA minimum salary is the source of all of their yearly income? The financial realities of their own rank and file members are completely unrelated to the union's leadership. They are using other people's chips to play a billionaire's game of poker. Adam Silver notices. We discussed his last-minute warning. Silver is aware that the union's leadership is causing the situation to spiral out of control. He is aware that if this isn't completed by March, the Golden Goose is no longer alive. Disney, Amazon, and NBC are not willing to spend billions of dollars on a league that cannot even ensure that its players will show up for work. These networks have provisions in their contracts to renegotiate or to cease operations completely if the union forces this to turn into a lockout. The players are about to drop the pie on the floor, but they believe they're battling for a larger slice of the pie. This whole circumstance is a perfect example of how to sabotage something positive. Caitlin Clark was the lottery ticket of a lifetime for the WNBA. They only needed to cash it. They only needed to sign a fair collective bargaining agreement to ensure the enormous pay raises that the owners have already provided, as well as play basketball. However, ego got in the way. The concept of playing under a financial structure created by a rookie was too much for the veterans to handle. They ordered 80% of the league to become free agents in an attempt to establish their dominance. The arenas were taken prisoner by them. On national television, they gave the league a laugh. Fans, you should get ready for the very probable potential that the 2026 season may be postponed or, worse, canceled. The player's speech is not becoming more tactful. Rather, It is hardening, and the proprietors, supported by Adam Silver, will not give in to pressure that would force their franchises into bankruptcy. An unstoppable force of greed is colliding with the immovable object of financial reality as we watch. Remember who struck the match if this season ends in flames. Caitlin Clark wasn't the person. The fans weren't the cause. The union leadership believed they were superior to the game. A group of veterans who put their own pride ahead of the sport's continued existence. The golden egg is waiting to be laid by the golden goose, which is now sitting there. However, the WNBA is currently in danger. The blink has occurred. All of the arenas are reserved. It's a phony schedule. There are no teams. Welcome to the WNBA's 11th hour, when the only thing that is certain at this point is complete, unavoidable catastrophe.